At the end of November 2015, going into the beginning of December, the UN will roll out their second phase of the 2030 Agenda. This will be taking place in Paris, France at the UN Climate Change Summit. The first part of the agenda was rolled out back in September for the 70th UN General Assembly that took place in Manhattan, New York. There, they displayed their 17 goals for sustainable development. And when you take sustainable development, the climate action, as well as things like the TPP, which is being overseen by the UN Security Council, you see that they are establishing the infrastructure and the necessary framework for global governance. And they're doing this right now before our eyes. These moves being made on this global level are removing sovereignty from individual independent states, nation states, and countries. This is that New World Order that we've heard about for so long, and it's taking shape right before our eyes. Russian President Vladimir Putin will be speaking at this summit. There will be more than 100 world leaders in attendance, including US President Barack Obama, as well as the leaders from India and China. Putin also came out and blasted the theory of man-made global warming and called it a hoax. He stated it would be a tool of control used by the West to tax and regulate countries into obedience. So it should be very interesting to see what exactly Putin has to say at this summit. Is he going to jump on the climate change, global warming bandwagon? We'll find out very soon. It's also being reported that he is set to meet with President Obama. Now, as I stated before, COP21, or 2015 Paris Climate Conference, that's scheduled to take place Paris November 30th, will be unlike any other climate summit or climate conference. They have stated in their own words they plan to achieve a legally binding and universal agreement on climate for the first time in over 20 years of UN negotiations. Now, if they meet their goal, this will solidify the myth of anthropogenic global warming or man-made global warming. It would be entrenched in law, thus solidifying it as fact in the minds of many. And this would be a giant step towards global governance or a one world government with a worldwide carbon tax. Now, we've recently seen Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton come out saying that she believes the Justice Department should be investigating ExxonMobil for their climate change cover-up, stating that their scientists were well aware of the fossil fuel effects of climate change going back to the 70s. Well, apparently the Philippines has jumped on this bandwagon as well. So when we hear talk about how the UN is planning to make a worldwide law on climate change, when we hear talk about how climate change is the biggest threat that faces humanity in our world right now, just remember who exactly has weaponized the weather, who is manipulating our atmosphere, engineering storms. They've militarized weather. They've weaponized it as a force multiplier. Now, this is a list here. It's a couple years old. It's a little bit dated, but still, the top 20 HAARP facilities and GPS locations coordinates. So I'm going to leave a list for all this. There's a whole lot of information here for you guys to check out. I'm also going to leave a link over here for the High Power Auroral Stimulation Observatory, known as HIPAS. This is located 30 miles northeast of Fairbanks, Alaska. The HIPAS facility is engaged in the study of the ionosphere through the use of high-power radio transmissions, as well as a state-of-the-art LiDAR, light detection and ranging facility. I'm going to leave links for all this stuff. There is a ton of information here. Now, they state right here that success with HIPAS resulted in the construction of a second ionospheric research facility 228 kilometers to the southeast called HAARP, for High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program. Most of you have heard of HAARP out there. They state that it has the same total radiated power as HIPAS. So it's a massive facility as well, very powerful facility, but it has a slightly higher ERP due to its more closely packed 48 element antenna array. Now let's take a look at some of these images. Right here you can actually see what a HAARP facility looks like here. Okay, most people, if they saw it, they wouldn't even know what it was. They wouldn't even think nothing of it. They'd be like, okay, it's some antennas or whatever. You know. Now they state right here, some of the research conducted at HEPAS is similar to the controversial HARP project. So the staff of the facility sometimes has to answer to the public, some questions from the public. But I'm going to show you some more pictures here, and I'm going to leave a link so you guys can come tear through all this information. You can check it out right here. This is just outside of Fairbanks, Alaska, the HEPAS facility. This is a HARP type facility here. There's photos of the inside, all kinds of good information here. So I'm going to leave a link. Don't ever forget, the ones that are screaming for this global climate law are the same ones that are manipulating the weather and weaponizing it. Complete domination, complete control, complete power, the New World Order.